Let's get on with today's space. Thank you for all for joining us this week. My name is Matthew Glezos, one of the co-founders of Toronto DAO. We do this space every week, and we try to have a guest every week. And this time, we have an extra special guest. We have MonkeDAO with us, and Unjust, who will be speaking on MonkeDAO's behalf. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a bit of casual conversation beforehand. So for those who didn't hear that, I was just expressing that this is going to be a huge space, because even if this is like a consulting session where you guys get to listen in, because all these questions that are asking are questions that I would like to ask, and not just for the sake of creating content. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. So I guess I can. Do you want me to do like a quick intro of myself, and then we can get into like chatting more about monkey DAOs and DAOs in general?
Yeah, that'd be great if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Behind the main account is Unjust Mouse, and behind Unjust Mouse account is a person named Andrew in real life. But nonetheless, I have had this Web3 persona a little bit after the inception of MonkeDAO, but I was priced out at that time. But nonetheless, my PFP is a monkey, and as it has been for the past few years. I guess my origin story is I started off in Web3 back in 2017. I got really into it because it seemed exciting. I was working full time in Shanghai, China at the time as an educator. I've been doing that for most of my career, and I kind of learned about crypto, and I was like, oh, this is super cool stuff. And then I became disinterested when the first bear market came because I didn't know anything, and I was like, all right, I'm out of here. And then after that, I rejoined and got into MonkeDAO in, I guess, 2023, and that kind of like super invigorated my passion in Web3. I would say that I kind of started to build stuff back in 2020, 2021. Started working on Solana, helped out to build out a few apps that mostly are dead today, but some of them have done okay, and I've been able to sell a few. But nonetheless, I'm mostly focused on education. And then joining MonkeDAO, I was on the executive leadership team for a year. I'm now a present board member, and I help to run our weekly spaces and stuff like this. And then I also help out as a local ambassador. But we can get into some of that like nitty gritty stuff later, because all those words are just a bunch of jargon for you guys right now, since it's all new for you. So yeah, I'll hand it back over.
Awesome, awesome. Samir, you have your hand up. Just before I answer,
Yeah.
is there anything you'd like to ask?
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to double check. The sound is good, but I hear a little clicking, like when Andrew speaks, and I was just wondering, maybe there's is it just me? You guys hearing that too? I mean, the sound is pretty good.
I
It's just
thought it
when,
was my speaker.
yeah, something maybe like. Do you think, Andrew, something can be adjusted with the microphone? If not, it's totally like doable. We can still produce, but I just want to make sure it's clear.
I would say I'm not sure why. I don't have anything on in the background. I have like all sounds muted, and I don't have any
Hmm.
like background apps or anything going on. So maybe it's just
Okay.
something funny with my phone that's acting up right now. Not sure. Sorry.
I think okay, it's absolutely fine. I think we can just proceed. And for Falika, that's just for you as you're going to be producing them in the future. Like, see how I intervene and make those comments. That's just for us to get better quality. But just take notes. I'm sorry, I'm just training our new person. All right, I'm good.
All right, all right. Stuff happens, but all we can do is move forward. So yeah, tell me more about this about Monkey DAO. There's an NFT associated with it. Did the NFT, which came first, the NFT or the DAO? I should say.
That's a great question. And again, sorry, Samir, about the clicky sounds. I don't know. Hopefully they dissipate. But nonetheless, for MonkeDAO, the DAO came after. So actually, there was an original collection. They are now known as the Gen 1 collection. That Gen 1 collection was created, and then it was rugged. And so the community that was built off of that decided that they did not want this to end, and they decided that they would run a Gen 2, which was post Gen 1, and that's the one that had the big mint on Solana back in the day when like it was one of the first with the original candy machine. Before NFT trading was a thing, people had to do it in DMs and Discord, and so they decided to form something called MonkeDAO after that. And so the Gen 2 PFP, which I have, you'll see, is the official first PFP of MonkeDAO, and the DAO was formed after that because everyone wanted to stick together and figure out what they were going to do next with their lives after getting these PFPs.
That's really cool. And this is the second project I've heard where it sort of died out or rugged. And it just the community said like, no, forget about this. Like we're keeping this. And I just think that's just amazing. Um, so like what are the benefits of being part of this community DAO?
So I guess there's a little bit of history to go with this too, not to like talk too long about some of this, but a lot of the DAO it's kind of been malleable throughout time. So when it first started, it was, I would say, not so organized. It was very chaotic. The DAO was divided into different people that had different interests and thoughts, and pretty much they decided that they wanted to kind of be a way for people to come together across the world, no matter where you are, and just be able to like pretty much network at first. So the DAO was formed, and then there was a small council that was in charge of it, in quotes. Everyone was a volunteer at that time. There were, oh my lord, at that time, I think it was like 12 or 16 quote unquote executives that helped to run and make sure that things were happening around the world for events mostly. The treasury was pretty small at that time, so it was mostly just put on by any goodwill that people had. So you could, if you wanted to have a meetup with other monkeys, usually it was at large events, things like Breakpoint, which happened yearly, usually maybe something at like a hacker house, but really at that time, hacker houses barely existed. And so the community was just kind of run on its own. It had no real formal processes. We had drafted a form of a bylaws around, I think it was in early 2022. They decided to go with a bylaws. The bylaws kind of was just like an organizational thing. There was no real DAO voting at that time either. It was all Discord. So whenever someone wanted to propose to do something, it had to be all in Discord with upvotes and downvotes. People really were participatory, but making actions happen were a little more difficult. I'm sure, as you know, for a DAO, it's never easy when you have all these minds that are coming together trying to figure out themselves. But nonetheless, I guess that's kind of like the history. And then to answer your question, sorry, the benefits for a community DAO, I think. It's difficult to quantify, but over time it's changed for MonkeDAO. So at first it was more of a prestige token, right? Owning an SMB was equivalent to having one of the, the most expensive NFTs on Solana at that time. But then it kind of grew out into something else where we wanted to turn it into a community that derives value not only from the PFP itself, but also from the value of the membership. So a lot of different things were initiated back when MonkeDAO started. We started to do a weekly space, which we continue to this day. We started later on a newsletter, which kind of updates what's happening around the world and who's where. We also started a venture platform, which I guess I can get into a little bit later about. It's like a DAO syndicate where people can go and we do fundraising rounds for seed and sometimes first round. It's usually much more on the seed and pre-seed side. From there, nowadays we have community leaders. We're pretty much around the world. We have what we call monkey chapters, and these chapters or our local ambassadors are in about 25 different countries around the world, all in different locations. They organize meetups on a monthly basis. From there, we also have a grant program, which we've been running for about a year and a half now. It's called the Build with MonkeDAO. It's a grants program that's tied in with the Solana Foundation and Metaplex currently. It's also getting an overhaul. From there, yeah, I think that those are kind of like the core like benefits to joining the DAO. So when you own a Monkey PFP, you don't even have to own one of these Gen 2s. We had a second generation, which is a whole other story. But yeah, so those were kind of like the core benefits and a little bit more of the history.
Yeah, because like this is something that I've always been trying to think like, how do we uh whatever we're creating with Toronto DAO, like how does it benefit its members and why should people get excited? And while a lot of like our we have some dedicated members that they're really excited about the NFT, we want to do more. And lately with all the events we're having, I think it's really cool, but it's always I feel like you're sort of the gold standard when it comes to community DAOs. And I think that's something that I hope that one day we can achieve that success ourselves. Um, but so you briefly talked about this at the very end. So does one need to have one of these NFTs, these monkey NFTs, to become a member? You said they don't, but then you mentioned the second generation. Is that you need the second generation, or could you? Maybe I misunderstood, but could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. I guess because of our history being so long now, it's kind of the process is a little bit convoluted. But at the end of the day, the only thing to be able to enter our DAO is to own an NFT. So if you own a Generation 2 NFT, you are entered into the DAO. If you own a Generation 3 NFT, you're entered into the DAO. And technically, there was a hack that happened many years back where we created something called SMBO, which is an ordinal version of some NFTs that were hacked that also gives some access to the DAO. So pretty much as long as you own one of those three NFT assets, you then are a part of the DAO formally. And from there, the decisions that you make on once you have your entry ticket, right, is up to you. So just like I would say, as we're now moving towards more of a country club model, the best explanation is that, like, you pay your one-time fee to join the country club, and for us there's no yearly fee or anything like that. It's a one-time expense. You purchase it, you're in the DAO for as long as you want to, and then you can sell your DAO ticket to someone else at any time if you want as well. So those are kind of like the core ways to become a part of MonkeDAO. Now, I would distinguish that there are slight differences, I would say varying degrees of differences between the two generations of monkeys that we've come up with. So the Generation 2 is like the OG member of the DAO. If you own a Gen 2, you automatically get all the perks of the DAO, including governance, which we now have much more formalized. If you are a Gen 3 member, which was the newest collection that we came out with about a year and a half now. Simon, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Year and a half, almost 2 years, right? But nonetheless, if you own a Gen 3, that one will also get you in the DAO. But since it has a lower entry fee, the perks that come with it are a little bit less, which would mostly include the governance end. So if you own a Gen 3 monkey, you can vote on the first stage of our governance, but you cannot vote on the second stage of our governance, which is fully on chain. So those would be like the major distinguishments between like the two different tickets into the DAO. But ultimately, you still get all the perks pretty much, other than governance, which is an argument internally about the importance of governance, but nonetheless, having either of these get you to go to the events, it gets you on spaces, it gets you to talk to the team and meet with them if you have some sort of partnership or something you're interested in. It gets you into the venture syndicate, gets you to every single event around the world. Like I said before, like, there's really no downside if you just get the Gen 3 ticket, in my opinion. But yeah, so those are kind of like the two different types of memberships.
Wow, thank you for clarifying that. And it kind of you kind of perfectly segued it into my next question. So, what is the governance like?
You're asking the governance monkey. Um, so I will attempt to be as not long-winded as possible. But our governance history has gone through, I think we're now on bylaws V6. So a lot of updates over the last few years. The structures have completely changed into kind of a full on DAO voting on every single aspect, to currently there is an executive team that oversees the DAOs and enacts on behalf of the DAO. It's now paid positions. And then from there, we have a board, which is separate from exec, and they oversee to make sure that none of the execs do anything weird or funny with their budgets. And then we have an observer who overlooks the board and the exec and makes sure that everything's going good with them. So not only do we have this like very formalized structure for our bylaws, we also have a very formalized structure for how people can present things to the DAO, in which we would enact as well. So like I said a little bit before, previously it was just like Discord voting, right? Before all this on-chain thing had really happened, MonkeDAO was already trying to work on its governance model, making sure that the members felt like they were included in the decisions and that the decisions would happen in a timely manner, that they would happen efficiently. So we used Discord as a gate for that. It was very simple, just thumbs up or thumbs down if someone put in a proposal. Anyone in the DAO could put up a proposal at any time and people would vote, and then it would be enacted by the people that were leading. But that actually switched recently, where now we've kind of redone the governance process, because we realized that there's a few things. There's a lot of, I'm sure as you're going to see in your DAO, there's a lot of spam proposals, or I would say proposals that maybe they're not as well thought out. Maybe the proposer didn't take time to kind of really figure out what they wanted from it, or maybe they just wanted to do it because they thought it was funny. Which of course in a DAO is accepted, because anyone and everyone is a member, everyone has a viewpoint, and we always want to have as many things that are going through the DAO as possible, because that's the empowerment of the whole idea of DAO. But we kind of decided that we would put things through a newer staging now, where if someone wants to propose something, it goes into something for MonkeDAO. We call it the workshop stage. That workshop stage is set up as a way for that proposal to be put out publicly, but also to be audited and to be regulated publicly. So that means that anyone that's a member of MonkeDAO Gen 2 or Gen 3 can put out a proposal in the workshop stage. There's no guarantee that it'll move past that stage unless it gets enough DAO interest. And then from there, it also gets a level of DAO critique on if it should be modified or updated so that it can, be perfected. And then after the workshop stage, it goes into a voting stage. So it's kind of like a double voting process, where after you have submitted this, you've brought up your idea to the DAO, then you're now able to hopefully move on to that next stage, where we'll go on chain. Once we go on chain, like I said before, there's a distinguishment between the Gen 2 and Gen 3s. So once it goes on chain, it's only Gen 2s that are allowed to vote. We have a DAO vote website. Anyone can visit it at any time. It's vote.monkedao.io. If you go there, you'll see all the proposals that we've had up on chain ever since we were capable of doing it. We built out a custom suite specifically for ourselves to be able to do it, so people could check it and see transparently what's going on and what we've been voting on. Then from there, if it passes that stage, then it would be enacted by the executive team. So that's kind of that group of people that I said earlier, the 5 people that work on behalf of the DAO, and they get paid to enact any of those proposals that make it through that stage. So that's kind of how governance works in like brevity. Of course, the iterations and stages that we've gone through are quite insane. I've happily been able to write 1 or 2 of our bylaws, and we've had them approved. I've been able to help edit on newer governance structures and how we actually vote. The workshop staging was completed mostly by myself and another monkey. His name is Gregory. He helped to make sure that this kind of process became tried and true over the last year and a half now. And so we've been pushing, but it takes time to get to the stage where like governance is sexy, because at the end of the day, it really isn't. People tend to just kind of allow things to happen. And, for a DAO, your lifeblood is the ability to change and manipulate it to make it better. One distinguishing factor between, I think, a DAO and a regular organization, right, is that the power is amongst the people that want to make impact. And so I think that we've kind of done a lot of steps in the right direction. But of course, we're always looking to improve, because this process is like incomplete and it's very new. So we've been trying to figure out the best way to make sure to activate the community, and then also, kind of accomplish what the DAO needs to survive.
That's really cool. And I often hear the criticism of various DAOs. It's not really a DAO, and I often think that that's criticism is justified. Not to get political, but I've often felt like DAOs have sort of adopted the Hong Kong democracy model, where, like, yeah, you get to vote, but the candidates have all been handpicked. So you kind of, the government's cool with all these people running Hong Kong, and you get to choose by that. And with a lot of these governance, it's like they get to decide what you get to vote on. And while you're right, if you just have it like open for everybody, there's definitely going to be some dumb stuff and some spam, and that's just going to discourage people from voting. But you don't want to have the opposite either, where it's like, okay, we're just going to put a proposal. Some of them even go far as saying what they want. Like, we recommend, to do A out of this option, and they kind of bribe you with giving you more of these tokens. And so I think, like you said, there's always room for improvement, but you seem to have found like a very unique way of eliminating spam, but not having it so only we get to decide what you get to vote on. Sorry, I see your hand up. You don't have to put your hand up. You could just interject.
That's all right. Yeah, actually, you bring that up, and it's actually quite interesting because we did go through a stage where the executive committee at that time was much many more members, and there was a process where the executive committee had power through the bylaws to be able to push something directly on chain and kind of supersede that like community input level. It was in honesty to attempt to make things more streamlined, but it ultimately was not favorable to the DAO members, so we end up removing it. In another version. So like I said, many iterations to find what is working best. And even to this day, governance itself, kind of like you said, like even if it's in control of the many or the few, people tend to not take action very often. They feel like they need to be pushed in that direction. And so for a DAO, it's very difficult to make sure that you're pushing your members towards understanding how DAOs work, and that we're all in this together. Our mission is to make the DAO better, is to make people inside the DAO feel better, and it's also to have an impact outside the DAO on others. And so I do think it's pretty vital to making sure that there's some sort of process in line. But that process, like I said, it's just always changing. And so I really have enjoyed the changes that we've gone through to where we are today. But I really hope in the future too that governance really becomes more of a staple, and people realize that they can make a direct impact a lot easier than they think. And usually it's just by taking action and then kind of asking for forgiveness later. If you one of the big examples that I've always seen in the DAO is somebody wants something to happen for all monkeys. Let's say, for example, they want to put Christmas hats on everyone's PFP. They will, instead of just creating a like miniature candy machine for everyone to just like be able to change their monkey from their current one to one with a hat, they ask for the DAO to kind of do that instead, kind of like displacing the work onto the DAO, as opposed to just saying, hey, I made this cool thing, I did it with ChatGPT, it works perfectly, all you got to do is copy pasta your JPEG into this and it'll put a Christmas hat on it. So kind of, and also as a side note, we do have that because a monkey actually built it because they just wanted to, and they said, hey, I made this, let the DAO use it. So I think that there also has to be this understanding between the members of the DAO that like there are some things that don't need to be asked for permission for. If you want to make something cool or fun for your DAO, if you want to have some sort of interesting event, you can still do that. And the idea of the DAO is to support you if it needs to, but for some things it really doesn't. Like anyone can action and do fun things. So, don't limit yourself to think that you have to ask DAOs for permission for everything. When it comes to the treasury, of course, that is something that always should involve the DAO. But if it doesn't involve the treasury, then, just have fun. You're just a part of a group of individuals that are around the world, all trying to have a good time. Why not join in on that?
No, I definitely agree with that. And we've joked about this in the past, Samir and I. It's like, like, oh, Matthew has a sore throat. The governance proposals that we submit, we do the space a day later when his throat recovers. Like you don't need to obviously do that. And like you said, like any event that we're hosting an event, we're with partners and everything. Do we really need to do a DAO governance with that too? Vote, I would say no. But like it's good to get the members to be involved as well. So it's good to find that perfect balance. I definitely agree. If someone said like, hey, we're looking for an artist to revamp the NFTs, that someone wanted to say like, oh, I want to make it so they NFTs have Leafs jerseys or something during the playoffs. Like, I don't really think you need to ask our permission to do that. I think that that'd be really cool. I just came up with that on the spot, actually. That would, if someone's listening and knows how to do that, by all means help us out. But yeah, we treasury stuff. For now, it's pretty centralized here, but we definitely want to get people more involved with that. So that was great. I love that. So I see you also have a grants program. What sort of projects do you like? Are you sort of looking to build? Is it anyone can apply, or is it community NFTs, DeFi? Yeah. So I guess What sort of projects does the MonkeDAO prioritize? I guess I should say.
Yeah, so the grants program has, for the majority of the time that it's been running, runs somewhat separate from the DAO. So all the funding that went to the grants program was done as kind of like abridged from MonkeDAO. So I guess to explain, and again, things always change. So there is a new MonkeDAO grants program that's going to be coming out very, very soon. It's going to get a complete overhaul. But over the past about year and a half, we've worked with the Solana Foundation for the entirety of it. So that means that the grant funding came directly from Solana Foundation, which means that we do not hold it against you if you don't own a monkey. We 100% want you to have a monkey, but it was not a requirement at all. So we were always looking for anyone that wanted to apply to the grant. It was just called Build with MonkeDAO because it was made up by members of MonkeDAO who wanted to do something fun and interesting. Again, kind of did it on their own. MonkeDAO decided that it would not put funds in directly into the grants program, but if monkeys wanted to own it and run it, that they can go crazy and do it. So that's pretty much what there have been quite a few monkeys that have done it over the years. They've made sure that it is in compliance with the foundation and making sure that we give out our grants in a way that kind of makes sense. But anyone that owns anything, anyone that's in Web 2 or Web 3, whatever, anyone could apply. Of course, we like monkeys, but we're not biased towards them when it came to the selection process. And then this last year, we partnered up with Metaplex. And so they added an additional grant on top of the Solana Foundation grant to give to anyone that was a recipient of our grant program. From there, MonkeDAO also supports anyone that gets a grant. So some of the things that come with the MonkeDAO grant were that you automatically were able to be in our weekly spaces, which I said we've been running since the inception of the product, right? We also allow some of them to get into our newsletter. We sometimes bring them up on our town hall, which we have weekly as well. So they kind of can get out there and show themselves to the world. When we have events, if we were partnered with someone through the grant program, then we would also allow them to kind of partner with our events so that they can get their faces out there during especially big parts of the year, like Breakpoint is a great example. This past year we were in Singapore, right, for Breakpoint, that anyone was there. we had a gigantic literal banana stand. It was a banana stand where we gave out banana smoothies. And at our banana stand, we had a bunch of different activations that were there. They included grant participants that had gotten through the process over the past year and a half or so. We also included them in the candy machine drop that we kind of did as well, what we like the in real life candy machine. So if you are, a grant recipient, there are benefits that MonkeDAO automatically gives you for being that grant recipient. And then from there, like I said, it kind of ran separate from the DAO. Now, in this coming year, we're doing an overhaul, and it actually is moving from a separate part of MonkeDAO to an actual part of MonkeDAO. So that reformation, like I said, is kind of happening currently. I myself am going to be having a meeting with the legendary Benny is his name tomorrow to discuss some of these changes that I have to kind of know anyways because of my current position on the board. A lot of this is not public yet, so I can't really go into too deeply the reformation of how our grant program is going to look in the next year, but the idea is to continue to allow anyone to apply to the MonkeDAO grants program, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are. And then from there, we will continue to try to work with all the different grant people that we have before, and even expand from there so that we can have maybe even more tracks and more ability to have funds to give out even more grants to these teams.
So, if I understood correctly, at least in the previous iteration, like MonkeDAO didn't put any of the treasury funds; it was individuals who put their own funds in it.
No, so actually, MonkeDAO didn't put any funds in, and nor did individuals. Actually, we just strictly used the Solana Foundation and the grant money that they gave us for the first year, and then the second year, it's Metaplex and Solana Foundation. So we pretty much doubled the size of our grant amount that we
Oh,
had, and then this year, yeah, hopefully we'll be able to add to it as well. So it'll grow in size, and we're also looking for more sponsors to make the grant program even larger.
I gotcha. Thank you for clarifying. Um, and how does the DAO like benefit from giving out these grants? Like, do you get anything? Like, do you get a percentage of like the money, or do you get like some of the tokens that were or ownership that were raised, or is it just like a group growing community engagement?
So this is very different from the venture syndicate. So these are two very different programs. So the grant program, as with almost all grant programs, the idea is that you are giving funding to a community, a company, a business, or whatever, and they get to use it how they please as long as they reach certain milestones. So a grant program is typically set up in a way that like you're not asking for anything. You're literally just giving money. We don't ask for anything in return from them. If they want to partner with us down the line after their grant is finished, or if they want to partner with MonkeDAO itself while they're doing it, that's perfectly fine. We never ask for anything. We don't ask for tokens. We don't ask for equity. We don't. This is a 100%. We give money to you to do what you want to do and build. So it's very different from the venture syndicate, which is Monkey Ventures, in which Monkey Ventures is more like kind of what you were just talking about, right? So that is it's literally a venture capital investment syndicate. So in that there is a direct exchange from individual members of the DAO to give money to protocols, and then in response, right, we have a whole document that is signed legally that they have to legally give us tokens or equity or XYZ stake in their company for that funding. So these are two very different branches of MonkeDAO. They both run, at least previously, they both run completely separate. And yeah, so one is more like, I think of it more like a donation. One is more like you want an ROI. You're thinking about EB. So yeah, they're two very different things. Grants, we never ask anything like that from any recipient, and we that I know of, we never will in the future because it's a grants program and it's focused on helping builders build as opposed to giving builders blanket checks and saying good luck and then give us some money back.
That's really cool, and that's really I think that's just huge for community inclusion in building. And who knows, maybe it's something further down the line that we could help out some Toronto businesses, as we want to keep the tech community here in Toronto. And part of that is making sure that these tech people have jobs, which means that businesses, small or large, can flourish here. So, what's
Oh, I
can you
would
tell me
say
more about? Oh, sorry. Can you tell me more? No, no, no. Keep
I
going.
would say for locale. Oh yeah, so I would say for locale, like for where you guys are and what you guys are thinking about. Obviously, your treasury while you're still early on into it is vitally important to the life of the community. But I do think it does have its value, in the sense that, again, we decided at first when we first launched off, we did not use any of our treasury whatsoever to be able to start the Build with Monkey grants program. We strictly use the Solana Foundation. So if you guys are more focused on, I don't know which chain you guys are thinking about, or if you guys are going multi-chain, chain agnostic, but like for Solana, at least I can speak to that, is that the foundation is usually pretty willing to help out and to promote if the program is attempting to focus and help build out new teams. So whether you guys are based in Solana, you're based in even Ethereum, I would guess, and Base, all these, and even Monad nowadays, with that, they would still probably be very interested in helping local communities to help build out, help build builders. So I do think that is like, it shouldn't be a stress on your treasury, at least if you do it to begin with, and then from there, yeah, you can definitely grow from there. Not saying you have to do it, but like it's just like it's not as crazy as you think, because you don't actually have to use your own funds to be able to do that as well.
That's true. That's true. This was just an off the cuff thing, like comment I made, because I think that's really cool that what you're doing. But yeah, maybe that's something we could look into. Our treasury is small at the moment, but it's not stopping us from building what we want to build. And I think that's the most important thing. So yeah, just I guess my last question for you is, can you tell me more about the banana stand? Like, I saw that on the website, and I'm curious as to what that is.
Oh lordy, the banana stand is a lot of fun, pretty crazy. So as we talked before, right, we talked about different things that kind of are benefits to the community. We decided to build out something for members only online called the Banana Stand. Also going through a revamp, if you haven't noticed. Lots of things at MonkeDAO are constantly updating and changing, but its first iteration and its current iteration is a place for monkeys to go, pretty much, to be able to accumulate our non-token called bananas or bananas, for just actively being a part of the DAO. It's almost like an experience token that's soul bound to the monkeys that you own. It isn't in your wallet. It's only through this stand that you connect your Matrica to. But nonetheless, pretty much, members, for being active members in Discord, for attending different events that are in Discord for us, which is like Town Hall, for having a PFP as a monkey, for just owning statically a monkey. You get these things called bananas, and in that banana stand, we then have a bunch of different things that happen. We have giveaways, we have raffles. Since the inception of the banana stand, we've done a long-running Christmas event where like everyone can go and be a part of it and join in on some raffles from both our treasury and from sponsors. It's pretty much like an activation location. So some people, I'm sure as you guys are starting to grow, you're going to learn, right? Some people love Discord, hate Telegram, and love X. And so, another person loves X and doesn't touch Telegram and Discord. But pretty much anyone and everyone always goes on websites. No matter what job you're in, no matter what socials you are, people always check out websites. So we figured the banana stand is something you can easily access from your mobile. It's something you can easily access from your desktop. All you got to do is just click one and you're in, your monkeys are automatically linked because everyone uses Metrica to verify their NFTs on Solana at least. And so after one click, you're in, and then you're accumulating bananas for just having a monkey. It checks your wallet and makes sure that you have a monkey, and then you accumulate these bananas. And then if you click over one tab, you'll see that there are different things that you can, get, whether it's through raffles or whether it's through direct purchasing with bananas. We partner with a lot of different communities, right? We've given away artwork, we've given away physical lights, we've given away clothing, we've given away spots to some of our events, like we have a monkey hotel at all of our major events every year. We give away discounts to different partners that want people to try out their products. We give out tokens, pretty much it's just kind of like an activation center where you're rewarded for being an active community member. And then in exchange, you can get some extra benefits on top of all the other things that we've talked about before, right? So this is kind of like we're just trying to grow the pie and that allowing members to activate how they prefer. And I think that that's a big part of a DAO, right? Making sure that you kind of are meeting your membership where they are. Whether we literally have kids in the DAO. We have very aged adults in the DAO. We have people of all genders and races, right? We just try to meet everyone where they are. And for some people, that's like diehard Discord. They're there every day. It's literally insane how many messages still happen in our chats every day. I'm like always baffled. One of our teams does like a weekly count of messages sent by some members. There's still people that send thousands of messages a week inside our Discord. It like blows my mind. And then there's people that are wildly active on Telegram, creating channels for people to be able to contact each other. We have Simon. I've seen the scroll. It's like 120 different groups that are active. I would say maybe some of those are sleepers, probably like 40. But nonetheless, like people are communicating in their way, and the banana stand is like one of the easiest ways for us to kind of to reinforce that connectedness. There are going to be some really, really big changes to the banana stand that have been worked on for almost a year now. We're really looking to kind of kick it out this year and completely change the way that monkeys interact. And hopefully, they'll be able to do that. I as an example that isn't MonkeDAO, one of my favorite DAOs that's based in Singapore. It's called Arc Community. They actually have a complete in-house app for their DAO where people don't even need to check any of their socials or anything. They can just check the app. People are chatting there every day. They have activations and they have all kinds of things just inside one app. I think that the idea of DAO is, again, to meet you where you are. And so that's kind of what the Banana Stand is supposed to do. And we're looking to keep on changing that and updating it to make it even more like that in the future.
That's really cool. We're kind of doing something, well, much less impressive at the moment, but a very smaller scale version of it. And I'm going to bring it up now just because we're running out of time and I want to make sure everybody who's participating gets the points for this. We do have an active Zealy campaign. And we are paying attention to the score and the points, and we do plan on doing something with these points. And every time you participate, whether it attends a core meeting, which for those who aren't a member of the core team, that is open to everyone, so you are welcome to join it, and you would still get points for participating in the space, events. All of these gets you Zealy points, or XP I should say. And this space is no different. So for those who are attending now or listening to the space later, head over to Zealy, our Zealy campaign, and look up for the MonkeDAO space quest and just input bananas. All lowercase, put that into the quest, and you get 100 XP for attending this space. But you've given us a lot of inspiration for what we can do at these points. We do have some healthy conversations amongst the core teamers of what to do. And you've given us some excellent ideas and some extra things to talk about. Yeah, I mean, we're coming towards the end of our space here. I guess just an open-ended question. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about that we haven't brought up?
I've been reprimanded it in DMs to make sure to inform everyone that there are a lot of monkeys that are hanging out in Toronto. And that's no exaggeration because the one and only Super Simon is based in Toronto, and he has a ridiculous following. So, if ever you want to learn more about MonkeDAO or, discuss partner up with MonkeDAO, please make sure to reach out to him and, see what's going on. Like I said, there is quite a large group, and since Toronto is the hub of an executive of MonkeDAO, it means that there's always going to be an event that's hosted by MonkeDAO in Toronto. But I know that we also have some stuff set up in Vancouver as well, and I'm not sure if there's a third one, maybe Montreal. You can yell at me later, Simon. I forget. But nonetheless, yeah, there's definitely monkeys around. So if you want to get into monkey business or learn more about MonkeDAO, we're always around, and we're pretty much everywhere too. So if you're not just in Toronto, you're somewhere else, and you're looking into learning more about the DAO, or you want to join the DAO, of course, you can DM myself anytime. Make sure to DM Super Simon even more. And yeah, I guess that's my small shill for MonkeDAO.
No, that was an excellent chill. And I'll be sure to look out for. Do you need to have an NFT to attend these events, or is it open to the public or the peasants, I should say?
So this is a widely debated and discussed topic. If there's an event somewhere and it just so happens that you show up at the same place at the same time, then you show up. In my opinion, the way that a lot of these events work is that the benefits for the event are for the monkeys. So like say we're having a meetup at, I'm just going to say Toronto Brewery, whatever. I don't know anything about Toronto, but say we're meeting at Toronto Brewery and there's going to be a bunch of monkeys there, and it so happens that you heard about it or one of your friends is a monkey. You can 100% go. The brewery is a public place. We can't stop you. You should go. And the only thing is that if you're a monkey member, you'll get like the perk of like a free drink or some food, something like that. But if you have a friend or you just want to go, I think that it's perfectly fine. But people can yell at me later about how that's like a controversial viewpoint. Some people are elitist. They just want monkeys to hang out, but I'm not like that at all. I just want everyone to have fun, have a good time. I'm going to bring friends when I go to events. And if they don't get something for free, that's fine. They'll still come anyways because they were planning on paying. But yeah, so that's kind of how it works because we have a specific part of our budget is carved out for events. So that means that when someone hosts that event, they have a budget in mind, they have a monkey number in mind, and they have an amount that they're allowed to spend. So usually that means that the monkeys themselves get all those benefits, and it's per monkey head, right? Per real person there. So again, if a real person wants to come and you're a friend, like, whatever. They just don't get the free drinks, but they still get all the chance to meet people. Maybe they won't be in the cool monkey photo, but that's about it.
I'm gonna book a table right. Oh, it just happens to be right next to your event. What a coincidence. I was gonna eat here on my own anyways. But yeah, I also understand, we are hosting an event coming up with Sweet Play. We hosted an event with Walrus Protocol before. So I understand like we have to kind of account for, drinks and food and stuff. So I can definitely sympathize with not partaking in a free beverage if I did not have a monkey NFT. But yeah, this has just been great. I've learned a lot. Like I said, this wasn't really a space, but more of a consultation where everyone got to listen in. So thank you so much again for Unjust and MonkeDAO for joining our Toronto DAO space. Don't forget, tonight we're having, Bitcoin Bay is having an event with Women in Crypto Space. Our very own Anna or Falika. I'm going to have to talk to her later for a pronunciation. Samir, you have your hand up. Did you want to add anything to that?
Well, yeah, piggybacking on the Bitcoin Bay event, it's going to be two of our members, right? So it's going to be Anna and it's going to be Athika, and it's going to be moderating. Athika's going to be speaking. So plus, a bunch of other people that we know and their friends, and very excited about the event today. But I wanted to also say to MonkeDAO people and super team as well is that we actually, like, because partnerships were mentioned, we're happy to partner with both of you, with Monkey and super team. We just need to figure out how. Usually we can do like just like cross endorsements. We're happy to publicly endorse you, place our logos, place your logos on our websites, and maybe like you guys can do the same. But like we're always like open to that. And again, I got to know Super Simon pretty well in the past couple of months, and he's like one of the chillest dudes. He always comes to our events. I really appreciate that. So we always have Monkey representation. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. We're always open, and Super Simon, let's talk if there's any desire for that, and I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, the super team has always been friendly with us too, and we really appreciate that. So yeah, it'd be awesome if we can get a partnership going. But yeah, that's it for me. My name, once again, my name is Matthew Glezos. Co-founder of Toronto DAO. We have our weekly space. Um, stay tuned for our space next week. And if you'd like to be a part of our space, feel free to reach out to us and see what we can arrange. Thank you again for joining us, and I hope to see you all this tonight. And if I don't, have a great weekend. Take care, everyone.